Hello everyone and welcome back to Russell Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good and maybe one of the best movies of all time, or the film that absolutely sucks and should remain in the depths of hell. Uh, Quick warning, I know that this video is going to be a little bit more choppy than usual. I'm recording this at 8:30 at night, so usually when the sun goes down, the quality of my webcam gets a lot shittier, so just clarifying that right now. So, um, So yesterday, you guys may remember I reviewed the first Cars film, and I said that that film, in my personal opinion, was an absolute masterpiece. Uh, you know, I just felt like that film just kind of is the best Pixar film ever made. Um, and then obviously because it was such a huge success, it it was inevitable that it was going to spawn a sequel. So, on June 18th, 2011, Cars 2 was released. And, oh boy, do I have a lot to talk about with this film. Um, First off, obviously my history with the film is, I didn't see this film for, I know, I probably did see it around, when it initially came out. Not obviously in theaters, but when it came out on DVD, I watched it constantly. Um, and then I kind of just laid it off for a while. Watched Cars 3, and then decided to watch the first two. And I'm just gonna admit this right now. People say that this is the worst Pixar film. I don't think so. I think Brave kind of takes that spot, but I'm not gonna lie that some people's criticisms of the film are justified, because this film has a lot of problems with it. Like, some that make you question, like, did like if I watched the first film and now I'm watching this piece of shit, like, it was either so good or it was mediocre, that this film was so shit in comparison. Um, I do think that there are some good scenes in this film, and we'll get to that later on in this review. But overall, I think this is it's a massive disappointment compared to the first film, and a significant downgrade in quality compared to the first film. And it's weird saying that because Cars came out in 2006, and yet I think it's still a fantastic film. Yet this film came out 5 years later, and yet it's worse in like most areas. Um, but um, I um, I kind of agree with what people are kind of say, which again I'll get to later on. But this film was made on a budget of $200 million domestically, and only made over 191 million, and worldwide it made over 559 million. So this film technically was a success, but domestically it was not. It made less than what its budget cost, and I think even though it made more than, yeah, because the first film only made 400 million, over 460 million worldwide. So yeah, it did do better than the original film, but I feel like that the reception for the film was kind of made it, you know, be considered as one of the. I mean, I think it's the worst. It's the worst ranked Pixar film ever. Um, which again, I don't think it really deserves that. That's how it really, for me, goes to Brave. I might cover that film at some point, because that film, it's a Jaws 4 for me, where it's so, and it's a Jaws 3 for me, where it's so fucking boring, where it's just it, it it's not even worth watching. But again, I'll get to that when I cover Brave, whenever I decide to do that. But let's get on to the story. So, race car Lightning McQueen, played the returning Owen Wilson, and his tow truck buddy Mater, played by again Larry the Cable Guy, have had their share of adventures together, but nothing like what they're about to experience as they fly overseas to the first ever World Grand Prix, while Lightning has his eye on the road to the championship. Mater takes a detour to international espionage, where when he meets the British master spy Figment Missile, played by the fantastic Michael Caine, and stunning spy in training Holly Shipwell, played by Emily Mazzarmi. I'm so sorry if I butchered that last name. I most likely did. Um, so you can tell by the last sentence that this is a spy film. It's Cars. It's really, I feel like that its main focus is to be a racing film, but underneath that um, is a good character story. This film doesn't have any character development. It honestly doesn't. It's just two different plots stuck together, and they were like, okay, let's just run with it. Let's just go. The first half is your typical Lightning McQueen wants to get the trophy, and conflicts happen along the way, shit like that. The other half is Mater teaming up um, with Figment Missile and Holly Shipwell to stop uh, Francisco, or actually no, Professor Zindap, or Professor Z, as I will refer to him as in the rest of this review. Um, and that's the A plot, while the racing stuff is really the B plot, which I don't. It's just they shouldn't have done that. I think I don't really know why they even decided to go with the spy aspect in the first place. If I had to guess, and this is just me thinking about it, around the time that the film came out, a certain spy film was in production by this point, and that film was Skyfall. So they were like, okay, let's just cash in on the spy craze since a new James Bond film was about to appear. Let's have let's make a spy film that's in the Cars universe. Well, I feel like that could have been fine as a side film, like a short film. It doesn't work as a main plot to a feature in the main series, Cars series. I feel like that the main focus for a Cars film is racing. That's what the first film established, you know, and that's why I feel like that the next film we're going to cover, which is tomorrow, Cars 3, does this again better. Um, where it's focused on, it's basically the first one where the main focus is racing, but underneath it, it's a good character story. That's what Cars should be, not a fucking spy film that's like, hey, you know what? You seen James Bond? Well, we're gonna make that, but Disney Pixar, yay! And it just doesn't work. It falls flat. Um, I'm not gonna go over the original cast because it's mostly the same except for a few which I'll mention when I get to my fun fact. So for Cars 2 and 3, I'm only gonna mention the new cast members that were specific to those films. I'm not gonna mention the older ones because after this film, Cars 3 I think basically has the exact same old cast. So I'm not gonna mention any of the older ones. I'm just gonna strictly talk about the new characters. Um, uh, in terms of what the notes I've written down. So, of course, we have the fantastic Michael Caine as Finn McMissile. Really, I think anything that Michael Caine does is fucking fantastic. It's like, it's like a Tim Curry, where, anything he's in, it's fantastic. And if that film gets a 1-star rating, he's the reason why he got that 1 star. Same with Michael Caine. I think he's only done like a half decent performance, Every other film, fantastic. Um, and same with this film. It's ironic that both the two films I've reviewed with Michael Caine so far is this and Jaws: The Revenge. Both of those films are shit. Both of these films are shit, but Michael Caine is fucking awesome. Anyways, we have Emily Mart Amira. So sorry if I butchered that last name. As Holly Shitwell. She does fine. Uh, we have John Turturro. So again, so sorry if I butchered that. As Francisco Banera. Basically, how he's basically the rival for Lightning in the B plot. Um, while I think the first film, I'm gonna say this again. I think the first film out of all three of them is objectively is the best one. Um, where Cars 2 and 3 with the rate with Lightning McQueen's plot, especially this film, because this one was kind of like the one that started it. I I think they realized that like because I think they had the initial. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were gonna go in with the initial intention to have both plots going at the same time, but have Lightning McQueen's story basically happen the same beats as the original. But they realized that, oh crap, Lightning McQueen's section isn't as interesting as the spy section. We kind of need to have them both interesting. So let's add a rival for Lightning to kind of face off against. And I think this is another aspect where I think Cars 3 does it better. Where it actually is kind of relevant to the time. Whereas this film, it's just like, oh shit, we need kind of like another underlying villain. So let's add this other race car that just pokes jabs at Lightning McQueen for no fucking reason, just because he's there. I have no idea why. Like, I would get Francisco like jabbing at Lightning McQueen because of something that they met before, and like had like a falling out or something, and so now they're rivals. If they did something like that, I would have been fine. But they established that there's one scene near the beginning of the film where McQueen and Sally, played by I believe Bonnie Hunt again, are having dinner in Radiator Springs, and then a news broadcast comes up where someone is interviewing Francisco, and then they start hearing Mater's voice, because and it's later revealed that because it shows that dial up this number, and they show it on the screen if you want to talk to us and talk to Francisco. So basically Mater goes up to one of the telephones and somehow fucking dials up the number, and starts talking to him like, hey, Lightning McQueen wants to challenge you, even though really Lightning didn't say shit about it. He's like, oh, that guy's kind of interesting, and then Mater's like, oh yeah, my friend wants to race you, and it's like, fucking Mater, goddammit. And then that's kind of, he pulls Mater aside, and he's like, and then that's when the rivalry starts, because they start poking jabs at each other, really for no fucking reason. Really for no reason at all. So it kind of just seems forced on my. If they wanted the spy story, go ahead, make it into a side story. Make it into a short film, kind of like how they did with the Mater, with the Mater short films, like Mater's Tall Tales, but not like that. Because if I had to be completely honest, I don't really like those. I just felt that they were just pointless, and they didn't really add anything to the Cars universe. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. If they wanted to do the spy film in the Cars universe, fine. They can go and do that. Just do it as a side story, not in the main timeline. Not in the main three, not in the main films. And I feel like that they just focus so hard on let's try and get the spy film, one, okay for kids to watch, and two, sorry, I got the hiccups. And two, have it, good enough so that children won't get bored very quickly. Um, and I just even though they probably try their hardest, it just doesn't work. Really. Oh, I should probably mention the other cast members. We have Eddie Izzard as Sir Miles Axelrod, who is. I'm just gonna spoil this right now. If you guys haven't seen the film, don't watch this film. Don't watch this review. After this point, until you either uh, until you go and watch the movie. Welcome back if you guys have, or you guys just don't care. Miles is set up as a good guy. He, introduces himself to Lightning McQueen, and seems like a good person. While Professor Z is like the guy, the main, like the bad guy that they basically shove in your face, like, oh yeah, this is the bad guy. Um, and then near the end, like right at the end, they do a complete fucking 180, where apparently Professor Z was working for Miles Axelrod, and um, they started, basically they started blowing up cars. For what reason? Um, I literally don't even remember what like what Axelrod's reason was for trying to, because I think he was the one who was like one of the co-founders to the Grand Prix or the World Grand Prix. So why are you basically sacrificing everything that you've done over a personal fucking grudge? Oh, like I think I'm gonna have to look at this again, but there's some like the gas company in the film that Miles Axelrod like owns apparently, and they're like one of the main sponsors. Oh wait a minute, no. Okay, so okay, no, I remember now. So basically, Miles' plan, the Axelrod's plan was to, because he owns this fuel company, to get all of the cars to um take this fuel. So when they go race, Professor Z and his henchmen have this like supersonic laser or some shit like that, where if they point, I think if they point it at like the engine or like somewhere where like the fuel is, it, I, I forgot what the science is, but I believe it like heats it up, uh, to where it's like boiling point, and then basically, uh, explodes the car. So, but that still really doesn't give off why he wants to do this in the first place. Um, we have Thomas Kitchenman. So sorry if I butchered that last name as Professor Z. He does fine. Um, we have the fantastic Bruce Campbell as Rad Redline, also known as Torque. Any film that has Bruce Campbell in it is fucking fantastic. Like he does great. And finally, we have Jason Isaacs as Leland Turbo, who I think Leland Turbo appears in the opening credits, where if you guys are familiar with the film, the opening shot is, or the during the opening credits, it's this car that's like, I need to talk to Family Missile. I found something. I don't know. Like it seems really fishy, and then he gets caught. And spoilers, he gets killed by being crushed into a junk. Like junkyards that kind of like crush cars into cubes. That's basically what happens to him. He gets turned into a cube. He also plays Louis. I think that's how you pronounce it. Who I think is the blue car that you see going to the bathroom stall. Who gets captured by some of Professor Z's henchmen, and I think is actually the first car to have the laser be used on, and is killed as well. So immediately off the bat, you go from Cars One, where it's like, oh yay, happy fun times, to this film is like no holds bar. Whereas the main villain is literally fucking killing people. Like he's killing cars. Like within like the first hour of the film, he already killed two cars, and then I think injured like one or two more. Like Um, and that's not even counting the amount of people that Flaming Missile blows up with the gas cans in the opening. That's like 50 cars. So like the kill count is already at like over 50 or 60 people in like within like the first like 40 minutes of the film. Oh my, there's so many fucking issues with this film that kind like there are some good points about this film. All the returning cast members do great. I think Owen Wilson does fine. Not as good as he did in the first film. Not even as good as he did in the second film. And I think this is one of the main problems that people bring up about the film is that Lightning McQueen is sidelined throughout the most of the film. He kind of becomes the side character in the film, whereas the first film it was focused on Lightning, whereas the side character was Mater. Now the roles have been reversed, so now Mater is the lead character and Lightning is the sidekick. What the fuck, movie? Like, really? You're gonna do this 180 bullshit, and then that's why I love Cars 3 so much because they brought back the original formula where it's focused on Lightning. Um, and I think they realized that they screwed up on this film because Mater barely even appears in the third film. I think he only has like 5 scenes throughout the whole film. But again, I'll save that for tomorrow. So, uh, Lightning McQueen, even though he is sidelined for about most of the film, he's fine. Bonnie Hunt is fine as usual. But yeah, like I said, all the original cast members who returned, great. Um, Michael Caine is great. I think the action scenes, even though they are, I don't like them because I don't like. I do and I don't like them. I don't like them because it's not Cars. It doesn't suit the Cars universe. Where I love it because it still looks amazing for uh, what what it could do back in 2011. Um, so I got to give them credit for that. The action scenes are great. I especially love the opening chase. Um, and remember the Skyfall reference I mentioned earlier. Um, I think they also kind of borrowed from Skyfall that Figment Missile is, with a few tweaks, literally a Cars version of the Aston Martin DB5 from like the Bond universe. So it's like, that's kind of cool. That's like a nice little jab at James Bond. Uh, Still doesn't help the film that it's ass. Um, if you ask me, actually, I'll mention that later. I guess my fun fact for this film is well, really quickly. I mentioned my favorite scenes, which is basically I think it's the opening action scene and then like really the last action scene where it's like a 10-minute long chase scene where it starts off from Lightning coming into the pit crew like because the manager's like where's Lightning at, so they're like it starts off with Mater Lightning trying to chase Mater, and he launches off the rockets, while Finn and Holly are trying to fight off the secret like the bad guys, like the actual bad guys, over on the um like on like the other side of town. So it's like what the fuck am I supposed to focus on? But it's great. Um, my least favorite scene, oh my god. If you guys are know this film, you guys probably know the scene I'm probably gonna start talking about because it's one of the most universal. Like anyone I talk to about this film, they always mention this film as one of their least favorite scenes, and I can completely understand why. It's when I think it might be after the first race, like the first World Grand Prix race, or it might be actually before that. That like Lightning's talking to other people, like other racers, and Mater goes off and orders some wasabi that he doesn't realize is wasabi. He thinks it's I think it says he thinks it's a green tea ice cream. like this whole fucking scene was it's one painful to watch like in the context of like where it is in the film, and then also the way that it's used later on in the film to kind of set up Mater is so it makes me want to fucking die inside. So basically, uh, when Mater basically runs out of the wasabi place and like cools off his tongue in like the little waterfall thing, um, it shows that he quote unquote like started like he leaks oil, and so Lightning's like, well, like what the hell are you doing? And he's like, I didn't do that, I swear. And he's like, well, get out of here, like I don't want you ruining my image. And Mater gets hurt by that, and then he just like he basically runs away. He somehow writes a fucking letter, which I don't even know how the hell that's supposed to work when cars, their hands are tires. So how the fuck can you hold a pencil to write a letter? But that's besides the point. It's shown later on in the film that was a setup by I think it was one of the henchmen that I forgot exactly. Either they cut the oil on themselves or cut the oil on Mater so that like it looked like he leaked it. But anyways, the bad guys framed Mater for that, so it kind of started. It was the catalyst to start having the spy element, you know, going. And I feel like that plot point is so fucking stupid. Like, I thought that the whole spy thing was cliche, and then you add this shit. It's just like, and me. Um. But yeah, fun fact. Uh, is that several characters from the first film, um, have returned and have been played by, have been either recast or have been written off completely because the original voice actor had died. I guess I forgot I wrote this down initially because I wrote this down twice. Once, like when I was initially doing these notes, like a week ago, and then another one like right before I started recording. Um, um, but three characters of notion have been either recast or have been basically completely written out of the story of this film. It's Doc Hudson, Fillmore, and Red. Um, Doc Hudson, who was played by Paul Newman, who, like I mentioned in the last video, died unfortunately in 2008. He was for this film. He was basically just like I actually mentioned this in the previous review, but he basically just got written out of this film, and I think only one line in this film mentioned him. It's like Mcqueen looks at a photo of him. Either it's a photo of him, or it's a photo of the Oh wait, no. I was thinking like it's probably like a photo of like the initial newspaper of like his wreck, but no, I think it's actually I think it's one of his piston cups. And then McQueen just mentions that I bet Doc would be proud of that. That's the only line you hear about Doc. But thankfully in the third film, like I said in the first review, they do expand on it, but that's for tomorrow's video. Fillmore played by in the first film played by George Carlin. Like I said in the previous film, also unfortunately died in 2008. He returned to this film, but he's recast by I think a guy called Lloyd Schmear. Actually, I want to go and check that real quick. Actually, no. Lloyd Schmear. I think that's how you pronounce it. Fine, I guess. I mean, I personally prefer George Carlin. Because that's fucking George Carlin. But this guy does fine. And Red, who was played by Joe Ranft in the first film, who died right before the film came out, like right before I think before production ended. I think he might have gotten recast for this film. I'm not, because really in this film and the next film, he really only like makes like he only cries. I know in the third film he only has like one crying scene, and that's like when McQueen leaves to like go on the road trip to the new uh like the new facility. That's the one line that basically Ray gets in the third film. I see. I don't know if he was like entirely recast or they just used previous audio clips from Joe Ranft. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that all three of them had passed away by this point. Um, and yeah, um, sorry to end this on. Oh, actually, music was done by Michael I always mess up this guy's last name, but I know he did the Star Trek. Uh, I think he did all three of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. I don't. Yeah, I think he did all three. Yeah, he did all three of them. I forgot what else. I know I covered his work on other videos, but yeah, he does the score for this film. Um, really forgettable. Whereas the first film, it's like classic Disney Pixar score, and I fucking love it. This film just seems like a generic spy action score mixed with a generic animated score. Like it seems like they took generic spy film score, a generic Disney or just generic animated film score, mash them together, and you get the Cars 2 soundtrack. One track I know, I think it's I don't know what the track is called, but it's basically like the chase theme. Um, either it's the chase theme or I think it's Figment Missile's theme. That track is fucking awesome. It just makes me want to like start going. I'm going. Um, but yeah, besides that, the soundtrack is very forgettable. I don't know if there's an official soundtrack release of the score. Actually, I can try and look that up right now. Yeah, I don't think the oh yeah, there was a soundtrack release. So basically, like the first film, it's a mixture of Michael's work along with the pop song that was released for the film. And they, um, I think just this soundtrack album in general is just weaker than the first film. Um, it just could be the fact that I just grown to appreciate the original soundtrack more than this film. Like really, the only track I really remember from this film in terms of the pop songs was I think it was uh I forgot what the track was called, but it's like the scene. It's it's the track where like they're going around, like they're flying around the airplane, like in the jet, and like they're going to like, you might think that's what it was. That's the only song I really remember from it. It's like the most notable one. Everything else, forgettable. Um, yeah, but final thoughts on Cars 2. Without a doubt in my mind, this is the weakest film in the Cars trilogy. Um, characters that get sidelined that were great in the first film, especially poster boy right here. Like he gets such a large amount of the poster, and yet it's this guy back here that's the main character. Like what the fuck? Um, but yeah, it didn't really need to be a spy film. It just could have been another racing film, and I think it would have been fine. Probably wouldn't have received much backlash as the film got. Um, but if you asked me a few years ago, what did I think about Cars 2? I would have still said it's the weakest out of the trilogy, but I didn't think it was bad. Now that I watched it again recently, oh yeah, it's bad. Uh, just so many things about this. Like, there's only like a few things that redeem it, but they don't redeem it enough in order for this film to be a great film like the first film. Thankfully, they did redeem it with Cars 3. But, uh, all points aside, this film has too many faults to give it a good rating, so I'm going to give this. But there are some notable good things about it, which is why I'm not going to give it an F. I'm going to give this film a D+. For, like I said, there are some good points about it, but most of the bad points kind of over way, but there's still a lot of good points about it. So that was my review of Cars 2. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Click over here, I think. If you guys want to check out my channel, or click down at the name and make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. And click over here on to feature videos. Um, Stay tuned for tomorrow where I will be doing Cars 3. I will be taking a after Cars 3. I'm gonna be taking a week break from doing the movie reviews. There will still be content being posted on the Big Five channel, as well as on my social media. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all down in the description below. Also on my homepage, my YouTube homepage at least. And yeah, so stay tuned for tomorrow where I'm going to be reviewing Cars 3, and stay tuned for that review as well, because I'm going to be mentioning what the next marathon of films is, which some of you might know, most of you might not, but stay tuned for tomorrow's video where I'm going to be discussing what the next marathon is after Cars 3. Live long and prosper. Out.